Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It's still evening time here. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. I am your humble host, Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. Again, I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator, and I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And there's more out there than that. Okay. I hope everybody is doing as well as possible. Hey, Millie Cow, how are you? Barry Chad, good to see you. Oh, Delaney Pearl's in the house or somewhere. Hey, blessings, everybody. Um, there's been a lot of quote truth out there, and I saw some truth being peddled today that kind of upset me a little bit. I just got to say. Um, And I'm going to touch on a couple of these subjects as I'm wont to do at times. But they all have a common goal or thing, that the truth. And so I try to find the truth for myself. And if it don't feel right, I want to go find out, or, whatever. So in some of these things, I guess some people just think that we're all a bunch of dumbasses, that we're just a bunch of buffoons, or that we have, I know I have some short-term memory issues, but I'm old and feeble and been slapped in the head a few times. But the idea, though, for example, let me get this off my chest right away. There's a popular channel today, and the person they were interviewing and such were talking about how the Schumann resonance had just been off the charts, and how, now look, if I don't check every day, I check every other day, and there's usually 2 days worth on the charts, right? And so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, actually, it's been pretty calm the last few weeks. We've had a couple of spikes, but as opposed to like during the summer and stuff, there were 12, 15 hours that was off the charts. And now, so they're talking about how the Schumann resonance and all this, and how they're trying to relate it, that we're going into the, into the 21st and into this. And I'm like, you guys are stretching that mess. I'm sorry. Because I look at the Schumann every day. Sometimes I skip a day by default, or I got busy and forgot, but I can usually pick it up the next day. I do not see what these people are seeing, because I've been watching it now for the last 2, 3, 4 years. So I'm thinking, are they telling the truth? And their relationship to this spike that I don't see, because considering these other spikes that, we've all witnessed before, I don't understand where, they're trying to make this connection that now we're receiving these energies. And I just want to say, yes, I believe that the Schumann resonance is a result of energies that are interacting with the earth. How these resonances affect each and every one of us, because we're all different. A person with type O blood type might not be affected like a person that's a B positive or an A positive. I think I'm A positive, but I can't remember for sure. It's either A or B, but anyway, I remember something that said A positive. So, but with that said, though, so those of us with, a slightly odd blood type, it's not that it's uncommon, but it's not the common like O is, where these energies affect us differently. I don't know. Does blood type have something to do with it? Well, the blood type and the RNA, DNA, blah, 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 there are differences in there where, I may be able in certain circumstances, have an O type donor that would get me by, but in the long run, it would kill me, So, and they couldn't have my blood, or anyway, but to the point, compatibility, right? But we're all human beings. So to just blanket things, especially when I looked myself and went, I'm sorry, but I don't see this, And if you're referring back a couple of weeks or something, yeah, we've had a couple of spikes, but man, back during the summer, we were getting slammed. I mean, 12, 14 hours and a couple hours and getting slammed again all the way across the board on the chart. I don't see it. So part of it is truth. And these are people who are trying to, they're folks like me, I guess, and trying to keep people informed. But I look at it and I go, that is some truth in it, but that ain't what's really happening at the moment. Could it? Absolutely. We could, Schumann could go off the chart. As I was chatting a week or so ago, the next morning it was like it spiked. Then I did a follow-up video about, that's what I mean about what, a spike looks like. Okay. But for these folks to be trying to tie it in with the great conjunction of 2020 here in December, I just got to say, hang on now. Let's quit trying to oversell this stuff. Now, with that said, but so there is some truth in it, but there's a lot of hype and conjecture. Beware. Also in this truth statement, everything, there's a lot of, stuff going on the big screen, as it were, the big news channels about, the Israeli minister of defense or whatever, talking about, the alien thing, and the Trump knew about it and everything. A lot of us have already known that for a while. But to the folks who haven't heard it before, there are people that are scratching their heads going, wait a minute. We've heard rumors of this, but you mean you're telling me it's for true? Well, yeah. Okay. So in telling the truth about aliens or UFOs or whatever, the problem I see with what's coming up and the great deception or not, which I discussed in an earlier video, but needs to be brought up again, because to whom do we listen to for the truth? Which entity, person, aliens, God, whatever, is going to are we going to listen to that everybody's going to go, okay, these guys are the right ones, right? How are we going to know? Personally, I feel like I kind of sort of know in here, and if somebody presents me with a lie, my inner vibrations are going to go, and go, yeah, not that. That's not it, So, but there's going to have to be a lot of discernment with people. So folks that haven't had the depth of study that some of us have had, I've been a skeptic since I was like 12 years old, and I'm 68. So in this whole lifetime of things, though, there are people that are only 20 years old that only know the last 15 years. And some of that's a little sketchy to them. And they don't understand what it was like to be in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s. Some of them don't even know what a rotary phone was, or a party line, for God's sakes. Oh, that's where we all call up and pay $1 a minute to talk to some. Okay. So there are a lot of realities that folks these days, my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, just have not experienced. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Let me put that there. But in trying to get them to understand certain basic things about life and humanity and the planet and spiritualism versus some kind of worship at a church with religion, that there is nothing in the universe that we should worship. We should give honor and truth and love to the universe, to the great source, to the creator, to the source of all things. And so, but because people need to put a name to it, well, ain't that a God? Well, I prefer not to use those words. Were there gods? Yeah, there were people. Now, here's the thing. And I already in my heart know that, that some of the angels and other folks and demons and different things, Yes, they're from outer space, and some of them are dimensional beings. And we just need to go ahead and accept that. And many traditional tribes, indigenous tribes, depending on where they were, they knew that there were interdimensional beings. They talked about them, ghost being, ghost walkers, and they talked about some of them were ancestors. Some of the native tribes actually had met with the sky people, and in many traditions across the planet, that there are folks who are, believe that the sky people are coming back and soon, from what, their prophecies say. But you have to understand too, in Indian time, soon could be another 10 years. But to the point though, that we all seem to be being drawn or pushed or cajoled, however you want to think about this, into some of these things that are coming up. Now, certain things about current political events, okay? It absolutely must take its course because of all of the bribery and shenanigans, and we all know what I'm talking about here in this. But that there are certain things within the system and certain entities that, okay. Now, I've also talked about, depending on which party it is, it's the same coin, just a different side. But in living in one particular prison, if you will, I choose these jailers over them folk. Just saying. These guys don't eat meat, they do. And it kind of boils down to that in a way. So, but now in understanding the truth of all things in the universe, we have to understand that there are some really nasty beings in the universe. And we say, well, we don't agree with them. Well, they don't agree with us. The idea that, those of us, I brought up something, for example, the other day with some folks. And I said, have you ever had a good crawdad stew, with corn and things and done the Cajun way? And they're like, crawdads? Well, not really. And I could see that they were being squeamish about it. And I was like, well, you eat shrimp, don't you? Yeah. Well, I said, these are tiny little lobsters, that happen to grow in the rivers and ponds, So, but the idea of, I don't know, it's a mud bug, I don't know. It's a crawdad. Mm-hmm. Well, it's just a big shrimp, and tastes really yummy, especially when they're done right. But in other cultures and other places, you can't eat that, or like to the Jewish religion that you can't eat, pork. Okay. So folks have different reasons for different things. And so regardless of the culture, whether Jewish folks, eat pork or not, it's not my decision. Catholics, it used to be that you couldn't eat any kind of meat except fish on Fridays, and then they changed the rules like they do with everything these days. So we look at what the truth is and who's going to tell us what's true. So which aliens are the good guys? Or are there two bad alien groups and we're just picking the better of the two? For us, that's more likely the story. But for somebody else, the Galactic Federation that's been discussed by the Israeli minister, which is like there's through YouTube and other places that Galactic Federation is discussed. And I try not to sling words around. I just talk about, intel or whatever and things that I hear. But in this, the truth is supposed to come from like an ET source and whatever it is. And part of me is envisioning that television program called V. There was also the Final Contact, Gene Roddenberry, where these folks came in and, we're all good for the planet Earth and everything, and where these folks had an ulterior motive. if I go visit another state, I've got an ulterior motive. Now, what that means is I want to go fishing in a lake, or I want to go down a river that's in Alabama or something. And it might be as simple as that. But other people that you want to go to another state or another county or community because they want to establish a business or friendship or a partnership, whatever it is. See, so whenever we go out of our way to go someplace else, well, I'm going into town. Why? Well, I got to go to the store, got to pay my taxes. Okay. So in that, the reason I'm going to town is not to just go drive around and come home. There is an intent there. So in the universe, there are a lot of other folks out there, entities, beings, etc. And, which one of those are we going to listen to? Or are we going to listen to any of them and give them a bird and say, go screw you? Or, is some of these things like the transhumanism thing? Well, now think about this. And I have, I've had my neck operated on before, and I've had donor bone, and then they've taken bone out of both of my hips and stuck it here in my neck. But back in the 80s, I had come up with an idea of using a type of nylon, Delron type thing and manufacturing a disc that could go in between your bones. And because they can take, such exact pictures now with the CT scans and everything and magnetic resonance, that we could literally take a piece of material and mold a disc the correct size to go back in your spine. Come to find out, they're sort of doing that same thing now. Interesting. But, so to me, it's not a new idea, but it is something. So, but now in doing something like that, does that mean I'm moving towards transhumanism? They messed up my neck. What else am I going to put in there? A piece of Delron doesn't seem to be so bad. With titanium rods, and they screw your neck together so it doesn't come apart. They didn't do that for me, but that's sort of the current thing they do now. So it's like things have changed. Now, back when I had my leg broken in 1966 or 7, that the technology then was pretty rudimentary. Now, not to say that there would have been a whole lot extra they could have done for my leg, but had I not let them attach this 14-inch long stainless steel plate to my thigh, I would not be able to walk as well as I do now. But might not be able to walk at all. But to the point, though, so in that operation, metal was used and screws were used and, different technologies. So is that part of the transhumanism because we're putting metal parts in us to hold us together? The different knees and hips and stuff. Now, there's a lot of problems with some of these things. They didn't test them inside a human being. But, there are some things that are inert that should not bother us in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, because each of us are different, each of us are going to react to different things. I did not react well to donor bone. I started smelling things, seeing things, hearing things, having dreams. And whoever that person was that I had their bones in my neck so close to my head, I had to get, they would not adhere to me. So they had to go in and take them out. So, but I understand that, a knee replacement or something like that. Now, is that moving into the transhumanism issue? Now, I'm not talking about, having a computer hookup, but see, that's the next thing. So there are people with deformities and handicaps. My brother had a handicap when he was younger and had to wear a special brace. I, for example, for corrective surgery for the break in my leg, I had to wear a cast for a year, And so you have to do what you have to do. It's uncomfortable as hell. You got to live through it. You just got to knuckle down, buckle down, do it. But in the truth of all these things, these advances, and I'm to the point that some higher alien race comes in and goes, hey, we got this technology that's a lot like Star Trek. where Bones comes in with a little tricorder thing, waves it over you and up and down, and you lay on this bed and it'll help correct you. And I said, well, what's the cost? Well, we're just, you just come in, we fix you, and out you go. Just like in Star Trek. You only have to stay if you've got a really serious condition. But basically, we can wave this machine over you, and you're done. Okay. So the med beds, right? So there's a lot of evidence that it is more true than not. But how much it could repair or whatever, we'll see. But so somebody says, okay, well, but the aliens have it. Well, but Joe walked in there and he was healed and he came back out, and yeah, it's the aliens brought it. Well, okay, so are the aliens bringing this to be truthful with us and to share these things, or what's their ulterior motive to this? We want to make you all better so you can live longer or so we can eat you. Who knows, right? So in the truth that comes, are we going to trust any of it? So with all this chaos that's going on right now, who do we trust? Is it Lou Dobbs, or is it the Fox Network? Is it NBC? Or is it, some... I'm the dumb schmuck, by the way. But is it some dumb schmuck like me that just is an observer of human behavior and of the world and of the news and stuff that says, hey, what are we going to do when this really does happen? Because it looks like it's coming. Now, the soft disclosure and these recent events, Trump, brought in the Space Force. So that was sort of a soft disclosure right there, when a lot of people already know we've been to Mars. There's a lot of conversation about, the secret space program and those people who've signed up. And there's a lot of valid information there, and jump rooms and the whole 9 yards. So what if all that were true? You don't have to get in a spaceship to go to Mars. You just, Stargate to it. Well, that makes a whole lot more sense, and especially if you could understand the technology and things. And see, that's one of the things when people talk about sciences, there's a whole level of science that is being mostly hidden from humanity. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but there are powers, like energy sources and things that kind of sort of put Tesla to shame, but we don't know about them. It doesn't mean they don't exist. So when the truth comes out, why don't we have flying cars? Because they don't want us to have them. Where would the tire business go? Where would the rubber industry go if everybody flew around and we didn't touch the ground? There was no contact with the earth. You know what I mean? Oh, holy crap. Whole industries would crumble. Whole dynasties would die. The oil industry. So why don't we have these things from the future? Because it's all about money, right? So, but if somebody comes in and tries to tell us the truth about this, are we going to believe them? And to what truth, right? Well, Hillary really was a cloned lizard, and the one that's running around now is not really Hillary, and but to the point, I don't believe that's the real Hillary now, because of what happened 4 years ago. Anyway, but a lot of other those of us who saw the events and watched it take place right before our eyes, we understood the switch had been made. That's all I want to say about that. But the truth is, the real truth, without any words, is being put upon us right in front of our faces. So we look at it and go, that just can't be happening. What? That ain't right. These people are what? So the interesting thing, and it was brought up in a couple of other videos and folks that I've talked to recently, And the folks who have traveled, like from Florida to Tennessee, or for me, I just go into town, but I visit different stores. So they're sort of like little communities in and of themselves. So, I've talked about Arby's, but I've been going to the same Arby's in Moultrie now for years. And I know the folks in there. Hey, Mr. Dave, blah, blah, blah. So the idea that I walked in there, that it was like, hey, this wonderful black woman, she said, hey, sweetie, hey, honey, what can I get for you? Haven't seen you all. You doing okay? Yes, ma'am. How you? So, and nobody had a mask on. There was a thing, but she was like, and reached out and like grabbed me by the arm, like, honey, it's so good to see you. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. It feels like it used to. When we could reach out and shake each other's hands, and, there was no fear, but there was a sign on the door that said, enter at your own risk. So everybody in the store was like, there had been an entire shift in reality, because now they weren't scared, but anybody who came in, and people were coming in, and how you doing? Some people had a mask on, but nobody was freaking out. And I was like, there is a normalcy in all of this, but what we feel is normal around here ain't where it is with everybody else. But to a point that somebody else made, every business that I went to, every store and person that I was in contact with, everyone was of a better disposition than I've seen in a while. Now, is it because Georgia hung signs on the doors about, we're not and enter at your own risk, and people are like, well, one way or the other, So whether or not there's signs involved, it's enter at your own risk. And if you've got your mask on, then you're protected. If I don't, it's my choice. See, it's at our own personal risk. It puts it back in the hands of the people. So rather than a company or a business, and all businesses and whatever will not be held liable. Okay. Can't sue them. Not that I would, because I'd be dead, right? Anyway, if the narrative was true. So, but there are people elsewhere who are locking things down even tighter. Okay, let this happen. No, don't do this. And so how it feels around here, and I love the South for that. But I know there are pockets of folks all over the United States, and certain towns are like, they're being using common sense. But the more that's coming out, and especially after the recent Senate hearings on some of this, people are scratching their heads and going, you mean there's a drug out there that's been out there for a long time that we can take, that's not a vaccine, but has like an 80 to 90% effective rate of you will never get this virus? What? Yeah. Invectrum or something like that. I was watching it today, and it was a copy, or, a video from the Senate hearings here recently, this one doctor and this whole group of folks, and they're saying, listen, we can give folks this drug that's already out there and give it to folks now, and it will prevent them from getting it. We don't have to give them a vaccine. They just won't get sick. And it'll also include any other parasites or viruses or things like that within the body. It'll help, clear them out. What? So why aren't we all getting a free dose of that stuff that's already there? You know what I mean? Versus something they had to whip up in the last 6 or 8 months. Don't it make you think? So who's got the truth? You see what I mean? But this doctor and his colleagues are going, listen to us, please. We're not a bunch of phony. I come here today to say, I can't take this anymore, because he's a lung specialist and whatever he said, I can't take this anymore of people coming into my care that are beyond help and are going to die because they didn't have this simple drug ahead of time. The truth from his mouth and his colleagues. Now, what's going to happen with that? Well, it's already creating waves. So should we be listening, quote, to the CDC about, well, this, that? No, they'd come up with back in March and April, the idea, as my doctor told me and some of our folks, that, there's this hydrochloroquine or something like that, and also a certain steroid pack. And even with the elderly, my doctor said she's saved a lot of people using it. Oh, but and Trump talked about it, but that's fake news. And Dr. Fauci, Fauci, Sucky, whatever his name is, he's supposed to be telling us the truth and leading us in the right direction, when there are doctors and people around this country, as well as they have used studies down in Argentina and Chile and around the world using this Invictrum, whatever it is, and with wonderful results. Now, why? No, somebody talking about that. So that's a truth. It's out there. So we spread that and go, hey, wait a minute. I don't want to take a vaccine. I want that drug right there. It's already proven. People aren't dying from it. It's already been tested because of all the years it's been on the market. I want that. I don't want a vaccine. I want that right there. Preventative maintenance cleans up my system, and I'm not going to die from any side effects of. So, but in the truth, though, is Fauci and them going to talk about it? Is Trump going to open up and say, hey, look, so Trump, and the thing with the bar, I have to bring up a little bit of politics in that. It has to do with, he made the statement that he's going to declassify everything. Think about that. Declassify everything. No FBI files about the shenanigans going on in the, with, people and this and that, the treasonous acts. I remember the Biden instance when he was vice president. I remember him, the son and him going to the Ukraine, and there being a stink about it back then. People have short memories, but I remember it. And a bunch of us were going, what's going on with these people? Now, after all these years, and they elect this guy, supposedly, that as vice president, he was up to here in. Okay. Oh, well, there's no facts. Really? The Ukrainians remember it because they'd like to shoot his ass for what he started over there. Just saying. They undermined the local. It was bad. So is there information? Yeah, but is there justice? So here's a bona fide criminal. If you was to take those two over to the Ukraine, them folks would take care of them. Okay. That would be justice. And if they drawed and quartered them and hung them up on the count, hang them from the, the county courthouse, to those folks, that's what them two, that family deserves. I don't blame them. But, so there's justice to the small man who we've got to pay our fines and our taxes and everything, where these other folks, there is not the same justice. So with this justice, who's going to be telling the truth? Well, there's going to be all these politicians that are going to be rounded up and they're all going to Gitmo. How long have we been hearing that story? So in this, believe the plan, there's the truth is out there. But is anybody disappeared to Gitmo? Our people have disappeared, but not necessarily per se to Gitmo. So that truth that we were supposed to believe in hasn't occurred yet. It could. We'll see. Just like the GESARA and the NESARA and all this other stuff. Could it happen? Maybe. But in the meantime, let's look at the facts. They want to reset everything. In the cosmic plan of things, the bad guys all across the planet want us to be so broke and so broke in, the highest rate of, children who are depressed now has risen like 200 or 300% across the United States from being locked in, and probably around the world. But So we're oppressing people, and that is depressing the human spirit. So the truth about this, kids can't go out and play. They can't be in the neighborhood. They can't touch one another. Oh my God, we're all going to die. I remember growing up during the days of the Cuban Missile Crisis and growing up in Tampa with MacDill Air Force Base there. They would have loved to have nuked Tampa, okay, because of all the stuff that was going on and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so hiding under a desk was not the same as somebody in Pennsylvania hiding under a desk. We had, Cuba is just off the coast from Tampa, right? So we were in a lot more sure enough we're going to die situation. Don't look at the bright light. Well, if you're looking in that direction and you've already seen it, it's too late, You've already seen the bright light. But anyway, so the truth in all of these matters, though, to whom will we believe the narrative? How is the deception going to be brought about? Are we as a society going to be able to believe it, accept it? Some of it may be the best thing since sliced bread. Other stuff might be, like the nasty of, it'd be like adding peanut butter and peanut butter and cucumbers might not be too far off the note, but think of two really gross things, a cucumber in chocolate. Okay, that sounds a little wicked. But in this realization of who's got the truth, are we going to believe it? And as a collective, are we going to buy into their narrative? We've been lied to and continuously, at least up to this point, and we kind of look into the future of the next 5 or 6 hours. There's going to be some more lies coming out of what they left behind today. We've got this thing we can lie for tomorrow, keep us in the news. So how are we going to react? How's our family going to react? I'm that wacko old hippie that believes in damn near anything, right? Or that at least everything is potentially possible. Versus other people like, oh, I don't believe in that. Well, do you believe in cosmic energy? Well, that's just a bunch of bullshit. That's just nonsense. Okay. So for those of us who understand certain things, the fact that I can understand because I have astral projected and been, done that. Folks who have never done it, experienced it, or otherwise, they don't get where I'm coming from. And that's not a bad thing. But if you have not experienced it, like near-death experience, when they operate on my neck one time, I told the doctor, I said, what were you doing to my neck when you were doing such and such? And he looked at me and he goes, what are you talking about, Dave? And he said, how do you know what I was doing? I said, because I was floating above the operating table, looking down and watching you. He said, seriously? And I said, well, how else would I know to ask the question about how you had me opened up and what you were doing? He goes, good point. So things like this have happened to other people, but in my own personal life, having experienced these things, there are other people who have not experienced these things that it's unbelievable to them. They don't have a concept of it. There isn't anything there for them to connect to in this realm, right? So it's freaky, it's unnatural, when actually, when you get right down to it, it's actually a very natural thing. So in the truth of the matter is, people are going to say, well, you can astral project anytime you want to. Oh my God, that's, that's sinful and it's the devil's work and all, you know what I mean? So with all of the chaos that's been brought to us up to this point, it's going to have to be something pretty dang special for any of us to listen to and go, all right, let's see. Where's your fact? Where's your this? I'm listening, but am I going to buy into it? And I think the deception from our point of view now, because what they had planned to do, I think has been running a little late. I think what they had planned to do in this UFO deception thing, people are going to say, well, oh, so you're the guys that are you the tall whites or the short grays? Oh, which one are you guys? Are you from the Andromeda over there? Are you from the Pegasus? Are you serious? Meaning the dog star. And there's a lot of stuff about Sirius and the dog star in ancient times and stuff. Just saying. Don't know who came from there, but it was Sirius. It was Sirius. Okay. Meaning serious enough that they came from Sirius. Just saying. But also the Seven Sisters, Pleiades, and of course, Orion and the Belt and all that kind of thing. But to the point though, that folks who've been watching Ancient Aliens now for the last 10, 12, however long, and you can rewatch them on, many different, Hulu stuffs kind of thing. So there is evidence. Now, are their narratives correct? They're correct in this. It ain't normal from a humanoid standpoint. Yeah, these people with elongated skulls, they're from someplace else. But people have asked the question, well, why don't we find more dead aliens laying around? Well, because maybe they picked them up, took them home, or there weren't a lot of dead aliens here. Aliens could be here, but that doesn't necessarily that there's going to be a valley, full of, bones and, thing. Anyway. So who should we trust in this new paradigm? We're coming into the 21st and the winter solstice. We're coming into fall is over. We're going to winter, which is hibernation for the spring. We're going to hibernate and we're going to collect our thoughts. We're going to collect our energies, and then we're going to spring forward in a couple of months. Because that's the natural order of things, at least on this planet, because of how it turns and the seasons and the cycles. So on Jupiter, Jupiter, it's got a different atmosphere, different progression, different everything. So what we understand about here on Earth, we have to understand when we can think above our own selves, selfishly, is that and there are different planets, there are different worlds. It ain't the same as here. So how do we relate to this? That's why Star Trek and Star Wars, and I think these are all preemanations. And the Men in Black, for example, there was a lot of hullabaloo back when Men in Black 1 and 2 were made, in that some of the aliens in those movies actually played themselves. And that there was at least 2 or 3 and possibly as many as 5 honest to God aliens when they walked out and there was all these aliens in the room and everything, sort of like the bar scene and stuff like that in Star Wars. That some of those folks were actually playing themselves as aliens, as who they really are. So that in the future, if we bump into one of them and we go, wait a minute, yeah, my cousin was in Star Wars too, the Return of the Skinksies. What? Yeah, you didn't see him. He was the one with the eyes up here, and the sort of bluish complexion. Oh, that's your cousin? Yeah, we go way back. Just saying. So I would be much more inclined to be that way. They might eat snails and puppy dog's tails. Don't care, as long as it ain't my dog's tail. But the idea, though, that simply because we don't understand them should give us no reason to fear them or not trust them. But trust must be earned. So I see in this, okay, hang out with us a while. You've been here all along. Yeah, there's my cousin over there. Wave hi, George. Hi, George. So we're going to learn by seeing it for ourselves and understanding it for ourselves. We're going to believe the truth when we see it and feel it for ourselves, not by what somebody's selling. I think it's going to be interesting. So with all these things that are coming about here in the next few months, hadn't thought about the alien part, you know, but they're bringing it out themselves. That soft disclosure thing. But is it at this point? Was that comment made this last weekend, etc., actually a soft, you know, disclosure? Well, Trump knew about it. He was going to come out and blurt it out, but the aliens said, no, not now. Mankind's not ready. Now, many of us have understood that for a long time, whether we understood what aliens were or not. We've understood that there's a certain portion of the population, they just need to come to grips with stuff. They need to just change their way of thinking and some of this ideology and greed. Oh my God, you know, and just take a chill pill. So that's what we're in right now. What are we facing on the 21st? A lot of people are talking about, you know, that we're going to be expanded into these higher dimensions and everything. I'm just hoping that some folks will just wake up a little more and just go, what? Hang on. So my prayer for this coming situation is for people to wake up even more and understand what's really around them and understand that there are truths hidden in the false narratives. And, you know, even in the telling of the truths today about them folks talking about the Schumann is affecting us all right now, it ain't. Look for the Schumann yourself. And, you know, I wished I had those pictures over all the years that I've been taking them. It's on that hard drive somewhere. But anyway, the idea, though, that this is the time, it could be. It's what we're going to make of it. How do you want to see mankind moving forward from this point where we've all been locked up? I say, let's take this winter, and I don't mean until May or June or July kind of stuff. Let's take the next month or so, going to have to anyway with cold weather and the snow, to get our thoughts together and to get a plan together and say, you know what? I see what I understand as being false. Like they've had sort of a cure for this already on the market. But the CDC and the National thing for the health, you know, no, they don't want to talk about it. So there are some people who really want to see us dead. And we can stand up and say, sorry, guys, but you know, we all see another way around this. And we would like to choose this way. Sorry. But we want you to come this way. Yeah, and so do you. That's where you take the cows and the pigs and the sheep for slaughter. We're going this way. Sorry, dude, you know. And there's going to be too many people, patriots, for the cops and the, you know, even the robbers are going to go, no, I ain't standing for this. You know, the cops and the robbers will actually get together and go, sorry, you know, we're not doing this. So I hope the truth is it's going to be fun, but get in your mind, what would you like to see happen in 2021? Do we follow their agenda? No. I say we look at how we allow ourselves to change their pattern. We're not all going to buy this. Well, they're not going to line us up and shoot us. I want to try it though. But too many people, like a lot of people were booing the president going to the Army Navy game, you know, and flipping the coin. And, you know, the whole, you know, all of them soldiers and all of them folks are clapping and, you know, and shouting. And people are going, yeah, look at them folks, you know, just, you know, blah, 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 and Trump and this and that. Now I'm thinking to myself, these are patriotic folks who stand behind the president. Now, it just so happens it's Trump right now. They used to do it when Obama went places, even though he, you know, talked down to the servicemen. But the idea, though, that, you know, here's someone who shows respect, and in my opinion, was given respect back at that football game. And then all these people are going, oh, it's a put on and all these things. Yeah, right. Okay. So it's the human conditioning. So I was watching the game and I saw it. And then I watched the news and thought, no, what the hell is wrong with these people? He went to a frickin' football game with invitation from the Army and the Navy, part of as POTUS and everything. He flipped the coin and waved everybody, and they cheered for their president. And for some reason, that seemed to be appalling and a crime, and that it was staged. And I thought to myself, I saw it in real time. I don't get this. But, you know, that's the narrative that's out there. So the truth is there for us to visualize and see for ourselves. And then there's the narrative that they swing that truth into their column. So we have to be careful. You know, who's doing the swinging? What column are they trying to sway the votes or public opinion? So we be wary. We talk to our friends. We communicate with each other. If we hear something on the down low about, like this Invictus drug or whatever that came up in the Senate hearing, how many people are actually heard that? If the population of the United States aired that clip from the Senate hearings to the United States people and they said, what? This group of doctors have proof that this works and we can take this without a vaccine and it will cure us and maybe clean out some other parasites in us too. What? Oh, man. So if there was going to be a declaration of truth, Trump or whoever should say, here's a guy, here's a doctor, let's do what he says. And it's not just one doctor, it's a group of them, but it was what he said from that group and their own studies and etc. Wouldn't that be? The country would literally go back to business by the end of January. Enough of this already drug made thing stuff put out there. By the 1st of February, by Valentine's Day, the country would be cured. They wouldn't have to have any shots. They just take this drug. Let's put that out there. What do I want for next year? That. I want somebody to prescribe that drug for me so I don't have to get a vaccination. Also, I might have some parasites in me and it might help clean out that too. So it's like, and it's been on the market for a while. So why not? Versus something they just whipped up in the kitchen sink. I want this one. Well, they can't, up to this point, they can't sabotage it. You know what I'm saying? So they'd have to try to give up. Well, we can't make money off of what we just spent developing this. Yeah, but you can make money off of what's already available. Yeah, but we're not going to make as much if they're going to give away the vaccines, and where are you making the money? You see, what's the motive? Oh, but don't give us the vaccine. Give us that drug and a steroid pack for 7 days, and I'll be cured and won't have to worry about it. Won't give it to anybody else, and I'll be healthy for a bunch of other reasons. Thumbs up. How about that truth? So I propose that we find out what we already know, and we say, I want this to come out in the next 3 weeks. I want this to come out for the first of the year. I want everybody to know about this doctor and what he said in the Senate hearings. Let's pass this along. We don't need no stinking vax. We've already got this drug over here that has already been proven to be 90% effect. Actually, he was saying higher than that, but it depends on how far along the patient is. But if you take this drug before you get it, you won't get it. So spread that news. It's out there. Just look for the doctor and Senate committee thingy and pass that around. That's what we can do. Send it to our grandmothers and go, hey, Granny, if you get your doctor to prescribe that medicine, you can take a couple of pills and you won't have to worry about getting it. Then you can go back out and go back to your sewing clubs. You can go back to the senior center and visit with your friends. The kids can go out and play again in the playgrounds. And we will take this terror off the streets and out of the country. So these people who are all bandaged up with plastic and stuff can go back to normal. That's what I wish for next year. That would put a lot of things kind of sort of right again. Whoever, and these people, these doctors are heroes to me, in that where it seemed hopeless, that it was never going to go away. Well, who cares if the virus actually dies and goes away? If we can take a drug that it just, no virus will affect us. What? Yeah, that means I won't get any other flus either, for at least for as long as this, lasts. Well, some bitch. Why not, right? Which would you rather take? So, in whom is telling the truth? It ain't the CDC, and it ain't Dr. Fauci or Pookie, or you know what I mean? It ain't the Pope, because he sold us out to he didn't sell me out, but he sold them out, the Catholic Church, and all those people, Christian, sold them out to the Bilderbergs the other day. You going to believe the Pope now? Seriously? The one that said, burn all your old Catholic Bibles and buy the new one, because this is what we're going to do. I said that a long time ago was stupid, but, he's the clown that's dragging the religious community into this mayhem. So people who are so confused with their religion and their spirituality, the thing that they thought they could cling to, the Pope, is a moron. Well, he's not a moron because he's being controlled by these other entities. But as far as being a Catholic, and is he working for the benefit of the Catholic people and for the poor people of the planet? No, because if he did, he'd sell everything in the Vatican and give it to the poor people. That ain't happening, right? And all these rich people, if they gave up their salaries, every one of those folks that were in that room with him the other day gave up their salaries for 1 year and donated to areas and stuff, oh my God, give them food, give them supplies, but also give them things like, ways to grow hydroponically. If there's a small village or whatever, help them put in teach them how to, do these self-sustaining kind of, greenhouses and so forth. Provide them with ways where they can produce themselves. Give them the knowledge, give them the basics, give them what they need, and we'll take care of ourselves. But no, they're going to spend more money on traveling around in their private jets. And, how many poor people will actually see it? But, they talk a good line and the Pope's on board with them. So can we depend on that crazy lunatic to, believe him for your religious and spiritual needs? Flush that SOB down the toilet. And there are a lot of old Catholics that are like, ain't taking this guy, among other things, but especially this Pope, this fraud. He's a Jesuit. Jesuits do not belong in the Catholic Church. They're a separate order, okay? He's not a Franciscan. He's a Jesuit. But people who don't understand Catholic this and that and whatever, he's not even supposed to be in the church, let alone the Pope. So, that's one lie that's been stared at us in the face for a long time. But people still, Pope Francis, he's the guy that's bringing us all together and leading us down the road to the new world order. He has said it himself. So is he telling us the truth? Not to me, and not to a lot of other people, especially those few people that had a little bit, well, he's got some good things. When he did this thing this last week with meeting with all the rich folk, people are like, that's it. That's the last straw with this fake Pope. I've had it. That's it. So the truth is coming out there. But did anybody say anything to those folks who saw what happened with the Pope and the rich guy folkses? Mm-mm. Nobody said, woo. Well, there are some folks that are talking about how the Pope sold out. But to a lot of people who just saw it went, what the hell's he doing? Why is he mingling with them? Why is he laughing and cutting up with all these people? And anybody with just a little bit of like, what? It used to be the Pope chastised those kind of people. Oh, no, now he's on their side. Really? So folks don't have to hear the truth. It doesn't have to come from anyone, but so many people are starting to wake up to these little freaky incidents. They're going, somebody just bumped into my chair. Wow, that was interesting. Thumped my chair. Who's here? Welcome. As long as you're, not plotting any evil, you're welcome. But anyway, so religious leaders, who you going to believe? Politicians, yeah, right. Who are we going to believe? Scientists. Do you really believe that Neil deGrasse Tyson dude about, this and that? They have known for a long time that the speed of light is an average. And he keeps, comets are still snowballs. That's such a crock. But they keep peddling this old physics, and they have to keep the narrative going. And that's why I think he's an idiot. Because the science is already there. They went to one of those asteroid thingies or whatever, and they were like, "Whoa, it's going to be it was metal." There wasn't any dust, there wasn't any snowball proof. But they keep telling the lie. So can we trust them? No, but there are some physicists and scientists out there who do speak the truth about things. But you got to go down and, read in the journal and stuff like that. You have to be interested in a particular thing. But to the general narrative, so if an alien scientist comes down, he's not going to go to Neil deGrasse Tyson and go, okay, unless he has him by the throat. You're going to tell the American people the truth. Well, that means I'm going to have to admit that I've been lying to them all these years. Yeah. So wouldn't that be interesting? The people who have been peddling the lies, especially the longest, the people who've been peddling the lies like Neil deGrasse. Now, the Muchi Okako guy, I can never remember how his name goes, but you know who I mean. He speaks the truth as much as he can. And he's a lot more accurate than any of these other clowns. So it would be nice for, whoever to be pointing a ray gun at, Neil deGrasse and go, okay, now, if you don't tell them the truth, I'm going to zap you, okay, I lied about this. How long have you known about it? Well, all right. I've known all along. Okay. So and do it on live TV. I think, tell a lie, you get zapped, and, then people will, it's not that anyone is torturing them, but a truth machine, an honest to God truth machine, if you lie, you get zapped. The bigger the lie and the more the harder the zap. So it's up to you to tell the truth. Ain't nobody forcing you to, but it's going to catch you. Well, I don't believe. Okay, I believe, And if everybody was subjected, especially these, quote, intelligent people, were subjected, to some type of truth machine, let's tell the truth, truth or consequences. Remember, that was a TV show back in the day. Truth or consequences. So tell the truth or otherwise. I think it would be great, wouldn't it? I mean, they could actually have pools and betting on how many times he's going to lie and how much power is going to, how bad the lie was and how bad the jolt would be, with that caveat that, well, no one has ever actually died. We've had to bring a few of them back, but, So this game is, well, it's not totally safe, but if you're honest, you'll, you won't even, you won't feel anything. You won't even feel a little tingle in your hand. Okay, that's good to know. So that would be really interesting. Now, if aliens brought a device like that and just said, they're going to tell you the truth. Well, but I don't believe him. Yeah, but we got a machine. And lights, camera, action, bling. There's the Biden family, hey, what did you ever go to? Whoa, he lied so big we had to bring him back. Okay. Next question. I think it would be great, and I'm not into torture because no one would be torturing them, but themselves. So you couldn't blame it on the aliens, or whoever came out with the truth machine. That if you're telling the lie, you're going to get zapped, and the bigger the lie, the harder the zap. But we got doctors standing by, Wouldn't it be fun? I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, what an interesting story or book or a movie that would be, right? Hey, Mossy Man. Doug Stack, how are you? Delaney Pearl, who's seen my gun control video? I haven't. Project Skyfall. He's the last pope. Yes. And in Catholic prophecy, he is the last pope as well, which a lot of people don't get. Hey, Mary Wins, good to see you. Yeah, the Vatican's going down. And, I hate to say it for the Catholic Church because in certain ways, the Catholic Church, especially when I was growing up, there was a lot of faith in it. And even though there were shenanigans, it didn't seem to be near as bad as it is now. But, people, the Catholics helped other Catholics, and there was Catholic charities and Catholic this, and, there still is, but the faith behind it ain't there, for whatever reason. Yeah. Bye Vatican City. Yeah, there's so much money hidden in them vaults and underneath. Benedict, I agree with you, Doug. Benedict resigned because I can't live this lie, and you're not going to stick me out in front of these people for me to carry. I ain't doing this. Y'all get somebody else. Now, that's unprecedented. But yeah, he wasn't much better. Yeah, the snake building, absolutely. When I started looking into that years ago, when they put that thing up and, oh, this artist did this, that, and the other thing, I thought to myself, now, as a Catholic, thinking about this and iconography and statues and so forth and representations and those people who believe that, my instances of contact with Mother Mary in my younger years was with the statue, but her entity sort of presented itself at the statue. It wasn't the statue that I was worshiping or praying to. It was what the statue represented. A lot of people don't get that. They think, oh, he's worshiping an idol. No, I wasn't. I was praying to, okay, I got a picture of my grandma. So I look at the picture of Granny and I say a prayer to the universe, Am I worshiping the picture? Oh, come on. Just saying. So, but with that, though, in the church and all that, the iconography, when they put that thing in the Vatican, I was like, well, if you didn't believe the stories about the Satanism and the devil worship and the bad, nasty things that they do in the Vatican, that ought to prove it. Because in no way, shape, or form would that thing be in any kind of Christian church. Just saying. It belongs outdoors with a fire under it. But anyway, so, and they made this the focal point of the thingy and all, and our. Here's the thing. If Jesus was dead, because he's supposedly risen, right? If Jesus was dead, he'd have rolled over in his grave. He'd have got up and said, what the hell's wrong with you? Let me smack these idiots a couple of times. Let me go into the temple and have an argument here. But folks just looked at it and just went on about their business, and a lot of it said no. But anyway, I believe in God and Jesus, but I do not like religion one bit. Agreed, Doug. I don't know if I am a bad for that. No, you're learning what it is to be spiritual. Because when I was growing up in the Catholic Church, I was an altar boy, I was a commentator, I was going to become a priest, and then the pedophilia and all that stuff. And I was like, no religion, no sanctioned religion would, sort of in within the priesthood, they were actively picking boys and in some cases girls for, pedophilia to, oh, come do like us. Let's pork you in the butt and show you how nice this is. What? Anyway, so, but the idea though that, and these same people with their hands were giving, handing out communion, after they were, in the back patting those altar boys on the ass. Think about that one for a minute. So, but in this idea of religion though, religion, and for a lot of us, religion has killed spirituality because it's all about worshiping what the church says, not what you feel spiritually. And, so in that respect, I'm glad the church is dying because the church's doctrine, which is doctrine of the church, has nothing to do with Jesus Christ and the events, period. It's church doctrine made up by a bunch of guys dressed up in robes that were doing weird things to each other and to others and making them believe, and anybody that stood against them, they burned them at the stake because those people are witches. A lot of folks don't understand. They almost burned St. Francis at the stake because he was using herbs and different things and stuff and curing people. So they, there were some who tried to have, St. Francis, who this current Pope says he's, emanating, they were going to burn him at the stake because he was using these herbs and things to cure people. And he was, blessing the cattle and blessing gardens and blessing people and their fruits and their stuff. And the church was like, we can't have that. And, but they also figured out that if they killed him, he would become a martyr. And they ended up making the Franciscan order, which he vehemently opposed while he was alive. And they did it to him anyway. So the whole idea of how good the Catholic Church is and how many millions of people they slaughtered over the years for the sake of Christianity in the Crusades, right? I mean, oh yeah, mass murder. And, but it wasn't the Muslims that did it. Oh, no. The Pope did it. Here, go kill these people, because they don't believe what we do. So these are the people that we're supposed to believe in. That's the church that Jesus, seems like an oxymoron. It is oxymoronic. Jesus stood for no violence, but they went and killed all of these people in his name. And you want to go to worship at that church? You want to go to that church and learn spirituality? Now, that's a fucked up spirituality right there. People who, condone mass murder are telling you to love and honor and cherish and sure, there you go. But anyway, Delaney Pearl, Doug, if Uncle Hawkeye is alive, I won't go live until he's done. Oh, am I holding you back? I just got on here because Teresa and some of us were having a discussion, and this sort of thing about the truth and everything has sort of been on my mind. And, I wanted to talk around the subject a bit and bring up a couple of different items in that how much, and in understanding more and more, each one of us is a part in this. So like this thing about this Omectrin or whatever this drug is, if And, I don't believe this doctor would have come before the Senate hearing committee and all that and take an oath and do what he did. And all the doctors that are behind him all around the world, by the way. So in certain things, we should be able to take the truth and spread it amongst each other without starting a fight, without condemning somebody else for their belief. We just say, hey, have you heard? Now, also within the church, those religious people, you have to ask the question. In the older text, Catholic Bible, which is the Douay Rheims version, which King James took his version from, by the way. He altered a bunch of stuff. So to fit it to his, but anyway, in the older versions, we are to adore the Lord, not worship. We are to adore. And there's a big difference between worshiping something and adoring something. I adore my grandmother, but I don't worship her. I adore the way that, young people to get together and do that, but I don't worship them. You know what I mean? So words are a big difference, and they've changed the words to confuse us about our spirituality. And most churches read from the worship Bible. You will worship the God. No, you will adore him. I adore the universe. I give thanks to the universe. Where's God? Okay, he's out there. Where? In the universe. Wait a minute, isn't that contrary to what I believe? Well, through shamanism and Native Americans and Native tribes and so forth, every powwow that I've ever been to, and I've been to quite a few in my lifetime, and it's a shame they had to lock down two that were in Georgia this fall. But anyway, they always say a Christian prayer. In other words, they always say a prayer out of the Bible or the Lord's Prayer or something. They always acknowledge the Christian God. But then they say a prayer to the Creator. And people go, what's the difference? Because in their eyes, God is just this being that did this world. Creator created the universe. And people go, well, that's blasphemy. Do you pray to the Creator? No, you only pray to a God. You worship a God. But these folks pray to the Christian God, give him thanks and honor, but then they honor the Creator of all things, because in their eyes, God is just this dude over here in this galaxy. He's not the source and the Creator of all things. Because of the Bible, this God of the Bible is a mean and vengeful son of a bitch. And they don't want to worship that, but they will acknowledge that. But to the prayer to the universe, it's to the Creator of all things, including the God that was created that supposedly made you and me. Okay. Anyway, but in that, it's complicated, but it's not really, if you stop and think about it, there are millions and billions and trillions of places in this universe. And to think that this one dude and this one thing and blah, blah, blah is being kind of silly and narcissistic, and some really intelligent people. Now, do I believe in Jesus? Absolutely. Do I believe in the Christ consciousness? Absolutely, 120%. I support the cause in whatever way that I can. Cheers, everybody. And Dante's got a new channel, and it's called The Cause on YouTube, by the way. And he's supposed to be uploading the videos that were taken down from the DSAHK channel. So there. And more to come on that. But in that some of the messages and things that I have put out there has been recognized by these folks. And I'm very humbled by it. But it also gives me the confidence to say that I'm trying to tell you the truth of things. And believe me, if something comes through me that I try to stretch the truth or something like that, I get zapped. is like a cow prod. If I try to tell, stretch the truth from what I receive, I get zapped big time. I mean, it hurts. Okay. So, but anyway, um, but in certain things, I tell you folks, find out for yourselves. But listen, heads up on this. Keep an eye on this. Can I tell you it's absolutely positively factual? Well, I believe it, but it's up to you for you to decide yourself. And you're going to work it out, yes or no. And it may be that part of it you resonate, the other part's confusing, but hey, life's like that. And don't worry about it. Somebody says, did you watch this movie? Yeah. Well, what did you think about the plot twist between the protagonist and of this? And I go, I thought the CGI was really great. Yeah, but what did you think about the pretext of this character and that character? And I'm like, I don't know. I was too busy having fun watching the movie. Oh, but yeah, but I had to go back and watch it over again because of the nuances of this or that. And I'm like, okay. So, there are those literary professors, and teachers, well, this is what Shakespeare meant. And I read it and go, I don't get that. Well, yeah, you can see right here where this and that. And I look at them and go, I still don't see it. Now, I've done Shakespeare. I've been in theater for, since I was in high school, one way or the other, different venues and things. And so I read some of this stuff where my professors told me that, well, this is what he meant. And I read it and go, I don't get that shit at all. So, but it was how he read it, how he interpreted it. But I read it and go, I just see, Shakespeare bitching about the king and brothers, sleeping with sisters and mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. And, oh my God, I killed my father and married my mother, Oedipus Rex, right? Oedipus, excuse me, or Oedipus. In these days, no one knows how to pronounce shit. But anyway, shit still sounds like shit, though, actually. Ain't that the shits? But anyway, but in this argument, though, so we look at these things and go, okay, now what? So you can read something, I can read something, we can read the same thing together, but you'll get a different little click in your brain as to how you picture it. I'll get my little click in the brain and see it, and we'll understand it. So, but with the truth that's being directed at us now, and it's out there, we have to say, what these folks are talking about, the aliens, and, they really don't want to meet us yet because a lot of us aren't ready. That's the freaking truth. Now, whether Trump actually knows about it, he does. But Trump, a lot of people don't know. Trump's uncle was the person, he knew Tesla and was one of the people that went in after Tesla died and collected stuff. Trump and his uncle used to sit down and chit chat all the time. Trump knows things that a lot of people would go, what? Yeah, they hung out together. He had access to, and his uncle was, pay attention. So has Trump known things for a long time? Yeah. And has he wanted to tell us? Yeah. And he's been doing the best that he can to out the truth, okay, with the many different things. So the truth is in front of us. It is out there. But are we listening? Well, the news wants to spin it. They want to take it and turn it. But if you look at the overall picture, like in Hawk observes things and all things and takes into consideration versus being right down here and only being able to see this much. So it's not that we have to understand it all. It's that we notice the bigger picture. And in the bigger picture, there's a lot of disclosure going on. So do we need some person or persons to come out and tell us the truth? Or is the truth so blindly obvious to many of us now that we have this conversation like I'm having with you now and go, hey, did you know about this? Just saying. Should you believe it? A lot of evidence. But, to some of the things that I talk about, I've heard from other people, my own experience. But then let's just pass the notion along. So here's what we do. We tell our friends, that guy that talked about, Trump and knowing and the thing, that's true. People going, well, it was on NBC. Not that you should believe NBC, but there's, I've been doing some checking and stuff, and that's actually pretty accurate. You know, a little weird disinformation in there, but the guy spoke the truth. That's all you got to say. You don't have to say you now you must believe in aliens and now you must believe in all this other stuff. No, you just tell you so that's actually true. There are other generals and stuff. You don't have to go into a big diatribe. You don't have to convince them of aliens or anything. You just tell them, you say, from everything I've learned, that is true. And leave it to them to decide. But the fact that you believe it before he mentioned it, and now you're going, yeah, my belief, that guy's true. His information's good. Now that just makes them think. You don't have to convince them, but now that you've just went up and said, hey, by the way, it's true, and left to their own devices, their own thinking. That's how we make the change. Without a fight, we just say, yep, that's true. Yep, that's false. Yeah, be careful of that guy over there. He's stretching the truth. Like the thing tonight about the Schumann resonance is off the charts now, and no, it ain't. Wait, let me check because I got into this before. But anyway, y'all are lovely people. I mean that. And in one of the things in my discussion and having conversations with my spirit guides, and okay, it's a little rowdy right now, but it ain't really off the charts. Okay, let me for those of you who don't have the link, let me do a quick copy and paste. Control C and Control V. Okay. That's the current link for the current, what does the Schumann resonance look like now? Michael Jackson and Trump were really good friends. There were several people, and believe it or not, Delaney, some of those people actually worked for the Charistus, the cause. And there's a lot of information that, like Prince, for example, he was working for the cause, for the Charistus, for the Christ Consciousness group. And a lot of information about some other folks who, they're working for the cause, and the cause is peace and harmony, and let's do right by humanity, and you know what I mean. And it's not really hard to do. We just understand that I don't want to do any harm to anyone. We follow the rule of one. Do no harm to anything in the universe. And we may have to protect ourselves, but that's different. Versus going to war because, God said so. Just saying, Let's have a jihad. Nah, I don't think so. My God, if that's the truth, my creator says, make peace, not to go to war with anybody. The war is against war. I'm at war with warriors, but I am a warrior for Christ in my own opinion. I am a spiritual warrior because I see these other people who want to destroy, take down, greedy, narcissistic. And I say, come on, there is a better way. We have proved it. Some of us live it. And some of us are livid, by the way, by how other people are taking this. So there is another way to do this. We don't have to pursue this way. We can settle our differences if we'd all agree to have a decent debate, open debate. We agree not to scream at one another. We agree to these certain terms, like the Roberts Rule of Orders in high school when I took debate and was in all that back in high school and later on in other areas too. But in that if we just simply follow the simple rules of debate in the Robert's Rules of Order, which has been around for a long time, um, and we learn what is out of order. You don't interrupt people like some of these people in the Congress and some of these mamby-pambies. It's like, you know, go by the rule of order. You're going to get your chance in another minute or so because the senator's time's almost up. So we be respectful for one another and follow these certain rules that is supposed to maintain our integrity and our respect and honor towards one another while having a public discourse and disagreement on subjects. Let's have the argument. Let's have the debate. Okay, you have 2 minutes. All right, done. All right, and you don't try to stretch it, because you can ask for more time, but get your 2-minute point across. If you have to ramble on about a bunch of crap, then you're not really versed on the situation. You ought to be able to sum up a certain thing, a point you want to make, in 2 minutes. Then the other person gets his choice, and then it comes back to you. And there's nothing wrong with it, except people don't follow the rules. That's the problem. We've lost respect for one another. We've lost respect for those simple rules of order. And if we would just go back to being civil, honorable people again, we can still disagree, but we're going to do it in an orderly manner. That's what's wrong. We've already got wonderful rules if people followed them. That doesn't include war, and everybody can get their point across. But this interrupting and treating things, it ain't a debate. And people have lost the ability to, even in Congress, in the Senate and so forth, these people don't know how to debate. They're just, shame on them, just saying. So we've already got the laws. We've already got things. We've got centuries and millennium of details on many things that, this is how society worked. I mean, for all that the Romans were, they had the Roman Council just as the Greeks did, and they got together and they had the Senate. They discussed things openly and sometimes shaking their fist, and of course, at times they draw swords and kill each other on the spot. And maybe that's what should happen. If Nancy Pelosi would draw her sword and let somebody else have a battle at her, she might not be here tomorrow. I'm not saying that, but I mean, if certain things in the old days is like, okay, you and me, we're going out on the street. You got your gun, I got mine. Okay, aim, ready, aim, fire, and be done with it. And if you don't die, well, okay, but did you learn a lesson? Who was it back in the day that, went outside? Was it Hamilton or somebody, and they had a duel? But so in some of this stuff, if you're going to be so vehement about it, then leave everybody out of this conflict. And the two of you go settle this, man, woman, two people, two individuals, whatever. So I think there are solutions that are already here, but we should demand that our leaders and our people treat each other with more respect than what's been going on. But how are you going to get, some of these folks who go off on the rail in Congress and constantly interrupt and constantly show their ass? But the people they represent, some of them anyway, are going, yeah, you're right on. But that those people aren't schooled enough in what the art of debate is, and that the common rules and what keeps us orderly as a society has been just tossed to the wind anyway. But it is all about truth, and it is about respect. It is about honor towards one another. You have your opinion, I have mine. Let's have a conversation. But I have no intention of pulling out a gun or any other type of weapon to try to inflict harm on you or to kill you. Although I could probably pick and choose a few words, depending on the subject, that would achieve the same impact as throwing a knife at you, okay? It would stab you in the heart kind of thing, get you in your gut. But anyway, my friends, I love you to death, I do. Ray, I'd like to say temporary human time for permanent spiritual growth. Absolutely. Greetings, David Castle. Um, May you all, okay. Barry Chad. Yeah, on the River Island, forgot the name of the island. Y'all talking about stuff I don't know about. Thank you, Doug, and Royal of Thoth and Barry. It's been an hour and a half, and I'm going to try not to do 3 and 4 hour stories. And I think Delaney wanted to go live or something. Um, Ray says, we're always learning, each teachers and students, no judgment of where you are on your path because you are exactly where you need to be. Um, I agree with that, Doug, but there are some people, though, I just got to throw in this little caveat that some people are lagging behind and they know it, but they won't be honest with themselves. They won't, there's a little bit of spiritual work they need to do and a little bit of cleanup work, but well, and they're lying to themselves. They ain't hurting anybody else but themselves. But anyway, some people should be a little further along, but it's their, it's the current state of affairs. Okay. It's the current chaos and things. And they're not being confident enough in their own spiritualness. But anyway, we're working on that, you know. I've got a lot of growing to do, but I'm a jack of most things and master of none. That's good, Doug. I was called that the same thing. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Mossy Man, most, and the truth. Right. Let's see. Uh, Mossy Man, Delaney Pearl, Teresa, Mary Wins. Did I miss anybody? Ian, okie dokie, Barry Chad. I want to give, you know, shout outs to Michelle as always. I love you. I do. Thank you. And for all of you, some of you are probably passed out or left, you know, which is okay. Um, under, Understand this. Each and every one of us are a grain in the sand on the beach of the universe. But here's the thing. Um, if there wasn't enough, if there wasn't all of us as grains of sand, then there wouldn't be a beach. So it's like, well, I'm but a grain of sand. Yeah, but if we quit thinking ourselves as being part of the beach, part of the whole, then there would be no beach. It'd just be rocks or whatever. But to the point, though, we are all connected in this universe, and we can affect each other and also have an effect to other people and to the universe. It's how we choose to do so. Keep the faith, my brothers and sisters. The Hamilton duel you talking about, they had an island where they dueled at on the Potomac, I think. I'm not quite sure. I just remember back in the day, and somebody else is Henry, no, Bird, Bard, there. Anyway, that Hamilton and whoever, not Benedict Arnold. Anyway, somebody they had a duel, and it might not have. You said Hamilton. Oh, uh, the time cushions us, but if we lag behind, the universe will create an event that is more intense to catch us up. So for those ignoring their messenger consciously, they will get caught up one way or another. And it's going to be shocking to them. It's going to be like, you know, taking somebody that's, you know, 100 degrees and dropping them you know, into ice cold water. It's going to be that kind of a shock, you know. Yep. Okay. So thank you all. Fact Jack. Yep. So, my friends, thank you for your participation in the universe. Thank you for your continued prayers to the universe and for the universe. Thank you for hanging out with me and us and the rest of us, weird folk out here on this channel. We do appreciate it. I think we're making a difference. I really do. And each one of us is finding different ways to have an effect to the universe by how we feel, how we act, and how we interact. And remember, the only way to get respect is to earn it. If you try to demand respect, that's only in the armed services. It's only in those things. But in the real world, whoever comes to try to tell us the truth, they're going to have to gain our respect. And the respect is going to come by proving the truth. That's the answer. And as the truth comes out, we show it to other people and go, hey, you see that over there? That's accurate. Talk to you later. Bye. So, with that said, until next time, I honestly do believe this. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings that are abundantly there in the universe for all of us. Each and every day, I continue to pray and meditate at times that each and every one of you will continue to learn along with your friends, your relatives, all of your neighbors, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom and the blessings from the universe. And as that law of three, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you and all your friends and family and all of your acquaintances and the people that you just kind of bump into every day, that you will continue to spread the healing, the joy, the wisdom, and the knowledge from the universe, and that you continue to learn how to accept it, receive it, and to share that knowledge and energy. Y'all are doing a good job. Let's keep up the good work despite these crazy people. One way or the other, we're going to come up on the other side of this. And if you believe in certain things like that, some of those things in the Bible, remember that the meek shall inherit the earth. If that prophecy is true, then these dumbbells running around with stuff, they're going to live by the sword, die by the sword. Now, a few of us might have to go along with them. But the thing is, for those of us who won't take up a sword after those who live by it, that's the meek who will inherit the earth. It doesn't mean that we won't fight for what's right. It's just that we're not going to war with each other anymore. So blessings, my friend. Ray of Thoth, it's good to see you. Teresa, as always. Michelle, Mary wins, and I know some folks are already out of here. So thank you, Teresa. Ween. Inside joke, you're all believe. So thank you for your time, your energy. And with that said, TTFN, ta-ta for now from South Georgia. Keep up the good work. Keep the faith, my friends. It's going to be an interesting ride. Talk to you later. Bye.